Towards the end of the Clone War, the Jedi were growing no closer to unravelling the mysteries of the Sith, and it was ARC Trooper 5s who nearly ruined the hidden intentions of the Clone Troopers. After watching close clone companion Tup be detained by the Jedi for his killing of Jedi Master Tiplar, the determined ARC Trooper did not leave Tup to the Kaminoans without becoming suspicious of their methods. 5s discovered that Tup had died as a result of a malfunctioning biochip implemented in all of the clones at the earliest embryonic stage, and they could be used to manipulate the army, despite the Kaminoans deeming it necessary to temper their aggressive tendencies. 5s eventually managed to isolate himself with the orchestrator behind the scheme in Palpatine, but the Sith Lord cleverly framed the clone as a failed assassin, whom eventually fell at the blast of Commander Fox, maintaining that the Chancellor was behind the war. Captain Rex never forgot the efforts of 5s, as it helped to save his own life and that of Ahsoka Tano's, but could the survival of 5s have helped to rescue more clones and Jedi generals? What if 5s had joined the Bad Batch? What would their combined might be able to achieve? As you'll discover, 5s and Clone Force 99 would make for a war-altering squad. 5s dived downwards into Coruscant's underworld in his stolen Flitnot speeder bike and into a warehouse on level 1325, eager to ensure Anakin and Rex understood the real meaning behind the biochips. Unbeknownst to the ARC Trooper, a probe droid had been following his every move, and he had little time to convince them. Anakin and Rex are trapped in a force field upon their arrival, and the desperate 5s pleads his friends to believe the influence of the Chancellor and that he was involved in the plot. The Coruscant guards quickly enter the area, and Anakin orders them to stand down and release him. Fox hesitantly deactivates the shield, keeping his blaster pointed at 5s at all times, as Anakin convinces 5s to join him in a trip to the Jedi Temple. The Coruscant guard, however, block their path, stating that the Chancellor had specifically requested his termination, so Anakin has to negotiate for him to be taken to the Republic military base and await a trial. Although it was delaying his death, it had bought them some time to free him. 5s is reluctantly dragged to a cell and watched over by the Coruscant guards, as Anakin had been intentionally distracted by Palpatine into his office. Rex, on the other hand, sat alone in the clone barracks, only accompanied by Commander Cody, and together they decided that the claim made by their friend needed to be examined, so they had to break him out. Knowing that the tough defences could not be breached on their own, they hesitantly approached a quartet of mismatched clone commandos, named Clone Force 99, and asked them for their help. Wrecker was keen to detonate the base, but this mission required stealth, and Tech brought up the schematics to the network of cells. The route to 5s was heavily guarded, but the clones were known for their 100% success rate and leapt into action. Using their status as clone troopers, the exterior turbo laser turrets are not an obstacle, but as they enter the detention area, they are stopped by a member of the Coruscant guard. Rex tries to convince them that they are on a routine patrol tour, but the guard is not convinced and turns to notify his superiors. Cody uses the butt of his blaster rifle to uproot the chin of the clone, and Tech leads the charge to the cell of 5s, dismembering the clones in front of the double ray shields, then releasing him with the button on the outside. The ARC Trooper collects a fallen blaster rifle before the alarms go off, as the patrol officer's body had been found. Clone Sergeant Hunter is able to get rid of any mines that have been activated, then leads them into the airfield, where Rex left to take control of a juggernaut, running over any clones who crossed their path. But as they tried to leave, they were struck by a myriad of shells, and they tumbled into the streets below. Back in the Jedi Temple, Anakin had returned from his visit to his friend Palpatine, when he received a transmission from his master Obi-Wan Kenobi. The 5s had escaped. The Jedi Knight joined his master in the temple hangar, each taking a speeder to the military base to investigate the disappearance. The Jedi notice track marks leading to the streets, and soon they catch up to the slightly injured clone troopers and 5s, who stood defiantly in front of them. Anakin and Obi-Wan assure him that they were not there to eliminate him, but ask Rex and Clone Force 99 why they had to take such drastic actions, and they believe the 5s would have been executed, just as Palpatine had attempted to do. Anakin still cannot believe that the Chancellor was capable of such a violent act, but Obi-Wan does not sense any lies, and relays this to the other council members, who require the biochips of Fives and Tups for evidence. Fives looked in despair, as those were with Palpatine, who could have destroyed them by now, but at least Clone Force 99 was by his side. Fives instinctively turned to Anakin, as he had heard about his visit to the Chancellor's office from one of the cell guards, but to his dismay, Anakin had not seen anything resembling the inhibitor chip in or around the office. Fives knew that Palpatine was intelligent enough to have dispensed with the evidence, as Obi-Wan reported that the Chancellor had told the Council that the difference in the chips was a parasite native to Ringo Vinda. Fives requested Anakin to conduct a search of the Chancellor for the biochips, but Obi-Wan had also been informed that the chips had been sent back to Kamino. The Jedi guide the clones to the docking area close by, and with permission from the Jedi Council, they take a Republic gunship joined by Jedi Council member Shaak Ti, who was intrigued by the truth behind the clone army. As they approach the planet, they find a group of Kaminoans awaiting their arrival, and Obi-Wan had a bad feeling about what was to occur. The Prime Minister Lama Su leads them inside, confused as to the nature of their visit, and looks suspiciously at the disguised Fives. Anakin is quick to ask for the inhibitor chips, but as they had expected, the Kaminoans remarked that the chips had been destroyed after they had been examined by the Chancellor. The Jedi are about to turn back to Coruscant when Fives spots a passing droid, providing him with a brainwave. Master T is able to distract the hosting Kaminoans for long enough to allow the clones and the Jedi to act on the idea of Fives, who guides them to the medical bay where his chip had been removed. There he finds the medical droid AZI-3, and it is able to provide the real analysis of the chips that Palpatine had tried to cover. Now Anakin was growing concerned about the minds of the clones, and in the core of the cloning complex, Fives points to where the chips were being implemented, inside of the new clones. Suddenly, Master T ran into the room, and alarms began to go off, as the Kaminoans had been alerted to the presence of Fives, and the clones were chasing them. Tech used his data of the area to find a shortcut through a cramped alley, and they rose to the surface in a turbolift, but faced the hooded figure of Count Dooku, armed with his Magna Guards. Clone Force 99 hide behind a stack of supply crates to take out the droids, as Anakin and Obi-Wan faced the Sith apprentice. Dooku pointed his lightsaber at the Jedi, mockingly congratulating them for unravelling the truth of the clone army, but they had been too late, as Sidious had full control over the Jedi. Commanding his Magna Guards to attack, they are intercepted by Crosshair, who perfectly takes out the droids, and they begin to move in for the Separatist leader. But to their surprise, he acrobatically leapt backwards onto his ship and threw the supposedly destroyed chips in front of them, remarking that they would soon all be dead. The Jedi look in annoyance as Dooku had gotten away again, but Anakin had finally realised that Fives had been right about the Chancellor, evading the pursuing Kaminoan security force. The Jedi return to Coruscant, equipped with everything they needed to equip Fives, and they bring him to a military tribunal. As Tarkin conducted the case on behalf of Palpatine, Padme made the case for the clone trooper, presenting evidence that the Chancellor had attacked Fives, and he had been responsible for the death of Master Tiplar through Tup. But from his seat, Palpatine rose and declared that he was effectively the Senate, and he could not be removed from power without a vote of no confidence. The tribunal has to release them both. Outside of the court, Palpatine quickly heads off to the Senate building, and in front of the other senators, he cast doubts over the ability of the Jedi to protect him and the galaxy. But he had been too late, as Senator Amidala had spread the word on Palpatine's betrayal, and there was outrage from across the arena, calling for him to be removed from office. The Sith Lord entered his office, disgusted that his plans for the clone army had failed, as the chips were being removed at an immense speed from all of the clone troopers, and Anakin seemed to be distant. Beside him, he instructed Master Amida to turn to their secondary plan of action, and for a devious senator to be lured into his position of public hatred. Palpatine turned to his holoprojector and summoned the representative of the intergalactic banking clan in Senator Rush Clovis of Scipio. The senator had been expecting Dooku in light of the events surrounding Palpatine, but he found himself being lifted into the air as the Sith Lord ordered him to give him the files to expose the banking clan. Clovis knew that running was not an option and infiltrated the core of the vault to grab the files, but as he did so, he found Dooku standing in his path. The apprentice instructed him to not take the files, as they would only serve tell Palpatine and spread lies across the Senate, and Clovis is unsure of what to do. The senator desperately ran to his office and sent a transmission to Senator Amidala on Coruscant, asking for her help before going to a nearby cave in his speeder, hoping to evade Dooku. In Padme's office, the senator had received the pleas of Clovis, and immediately she ran to the Jedi Council, who calculated that Dooku was challenging his master for Sith supremacy. The Jedi were aware that if they did not stop Palpatine first, he would place the blame of the clone army on the corrupt funding of the banking clan, and an elite group of Jedi Council members entered his office to confront him. The Chancellor had been preparing to enter his ship and confront his traitorous apprentice, but found the lightsaber of Master Windu alongside several others, pointing in his direction. Palpatine ignited his lightsabers and revealed his true identity that the Jedi had long suspected, but his powers were still a surprise as they sent them back into the dwarfy statues, allowing him to run into a secret hangar. The Jedi recovered to intercept his escape, and along with the chip-free clone troopers, they surrounded his ship, then fired. Palpatine leapt from the explosion and unleashed a huge lightning attack, bathing the normally darkened hangar in a bright haze, but Clone Force 99 had been on the roof, and Crosshair scoped out the Chancellor. From above, Wrecker used his detonators and projected them onto the ground, where Palpatine had been caught off guard, finding his leg leaking with Sith energy. Anakin cuffed his corrupt former friend, as Palpatine pleaded that Dooku was the one they should be taking to justice, but it fell on deaf ears. As the Sith Lord was watched over by several Jedi, the Council had one more task to take care of, and tracked Clovis' signal to the planet of Scipio. A separatist blockade obstructed their path, and Anakin punched a hole through the ships in his starfighter and skidded to the ground. Despite his hate for Clovis, he had a duty to the Jedi, and with the 501st Legion and Clone Force 99, they rescued Clovis from his hidden position, then saw Dooku hovering above them with the remainder of the separatist forces, led by General Grievous. Obi-Wan orders the Republic to move into the mountains, and on even terrain, Anakin begins to use his hate on Dooku. The Sith had been on the receiving end of Anakin's improved dueling ability throughout the war, but he was not prepared for a combination of attacks that sent him into the abyss beneath him and to his death. Beside him, Anakin's master had been tackling Grievous, but found himself distracted by the droids. From another hilltop, Crosshair perfectly collapsed the ground beneath Grievous, and in the ensuing battle, Obi-Wan was able to prise open Grievous' chest and puncture it with his blade. All of the Jedi returned to Coruscant with their clones, and work slowly begun on eliminating all of the corruption that Palpatine had previously weaved through the Senate, starting with the questionable finances. After another trial, Palpatine was officially removed from office, and his connection to the Force had been severed, leaving him to spend his remaining days as a scholar on his home planet of Naboo, despite calls for him to be executed. In the military base on Coruscant, Rex and Cody saluted Clone Force 99 and 5s, who had proved himself worthy to join their squad, and they left in their separate directions. The mismatched group continued their work in getting rid of any remaining pockets of separatists, and occasionally tackling crime, leaving their more esteemed clones to take the glory, and serving the New Republic. The Jedi decided to keep the clone army in the event of another war breaking out, but Anakin did not fail to recognise the efforts of Clone Force 99, promoting them all to Clone Marshal Commanders, and the memory of Clone Trooper 99 would never be forgotten. That is it for What If 5 joined the Bad Batch. If you enjoyed this What If, please like this video, turn on your notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel, as well as on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.